all you need to know. The Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Good morning. You're listening to the Daily Morning Update from Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 8th of April. The number of COVID-19 cases in India rose to 4,789 as the government mulls whether or not to extend the 21-day lockdown. India added 508 new cases yesterday. The death toll rose to 124, while 353 people have either been cured or discharged, according to the Health Ministry website. Overseas, the UK and New York State reported their worst daily death tolls since the pandemic began, even as several European nations said they planned to ease lockdowns, and Italy reported its fewest new infections since the 13th of March. Still, parts of Europe are facing an imminent risk of critical medicine shortages. Meanwhile, China said it didn't have any new deaths related to the pandemic for the first time since it emerged in December, news that comes a day before the lockdown is lifted in Wuhan, where the pathogen was first detected in humans. And speaking of ending lockdowns, a panel of Indian government ministers has reportedly advised Prime Minister Narendra Modi to partially lift the ongoing lockdown here in India. Bloomberg reported, quoting people privy to the discussions, that areas with large clusters of COVID-19 cases will remain closed after the 21-day lockdown. The panel, headed by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, recommended cities can open markets on alternate days after the 3-week period ends, and states can allow harvesting of crops across the country. Meanwhile, as a fallout of the current scenario, Indian state governments, which are strapped for funds as they seek to counter the fallout of the COVID-19 outbreak, saw borrowing costs spike at the first bond auction of the current financial year. Bond yields have spiked on fear that the centre and state governments will have to borrow more to fund expenditure related to dealing with the virus, despite the fact that the RBI has cut policy rates and flooded the system with liquidity. In the banking space, State Bank of India on Tuesday said it has cut the marginal cost of funds-based lending rate by 35 basis points across all tenors from the 10th of April. While the banking system has migrated to the new benchmark-linked pricing of loans, a lot of existing loans continue to be based on the MCLR. So that's good news for existing borrowers. You should check with your bank about lowering the rates on your existing loans if you've got a loan running. A class action suit has been filed against some drug manufacturers, including Aurobindo Pharma and Emcure Pharmaceuticals, in a US court for allegedly concealing facts about the presence of a cancer-causing agent in metformin medicine. In international news, the world's largest oil producers are inching closer to an unprecedented global deal to rescue the energy industry from collapse after the US said production will drop dramatically. While the forecast reflects what President Donald Trump has called an automatic reduction by US explorers and not a commitment, it paves the way for Saudi Arabia and Russia to coordinate output cuts at tomorrow's virtual OPEC Plus meeting. On Friday, they'll seek cooperation from other nations in a Group of 20 conference. Brent crude is back above $30 per barrel and in fact was trading at $32.6 last I checked. In international markets, US equities ended marginally lower, with the Dow and the S&P 500 losing a little over 0.1% and the Nasdaq declining about 0.33%. In the Asia-Pacific region, markets are taking their cues from the US, with all three early risers trading in the red. And with that, it's over to Agam Vakil for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Agam. How are we looking today?
Good morning, Alex, and good morning, listeners. Well, the SGX Nifty is indicating a little bit of correction today, so we wait and watch as to how the open pans out. But there could be some amount of weakness, at least as far as the first half an hour of trade is concerned. Let's moving on to stocks in news today. A class action lawsuit has been filed against some drug manufacturers, including Aurobindo Pharma and Emcure Pharmaceuticals, in the US court for allegedly concealing facts about a cancer-causing agent. Deepak Nitrite has received approval by Vadodara District Industries Commissionerate to commence production of 2-ethyl hexyl nitrate, which finds applications and is one of the essential raw materials used in refining process of diesel produced by various refineries. Embassy Office Parks REIT sponsor Embassy Property Developments has created a hedge of 8.13 crore units, or that comes up to around 10.5% stake in favor of Catalyst trusteeship for a period of 10 years. The sponsor has about 15% stake in the REIT. CCI has approved acquisition of 80% stake by Hitachi in power grid business of ABB India, and it's also approved the acquisition of 100% shareholding of GMR Kamalanga Energy Limited by GSW Energy. Moving on to Advanced Enzyme Technologies, it says that it continues to carry on production in its manufacturing units in India with the permission of local authorities, but operations at its plants have been scaled down with reduced capacity utilization as there is disruption in international markets as well. Galaxy Surfactants has also partially resumed operations of its plants with effect from April 6th, and Viatec Vabag finally has secured a 5-year operations and maintenance contract in AMAS sewage treatment plant in the Kingdom of Bahrain for 90 crores. Now, these are just some of the stocks that we can watch out for as we move into trade today, but don't forget to go through our morning edition of All You Need to Know only on BloombergQuint.com.
Thanks, Agam. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day and do stay safe.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.